Hello and welcome back to Classic Vinyl Podcast. This is the podcast where we listen to and review songs and albums from the classic vinyl era of the 60s and 70s. I am half of your host, half of your hosts.
Yeah, there's an S at the end there.
Yeah, hostesses, not hostess.
Hostess Puddin' Pies.
I'm one of your hosts, Justin. I'm here with my other host, Tyler. But today we're going to do a special episode for our last episode of the year. We're going to revisit the 1964 Billboard year-end charts. What I did is I printed off a list of the top 100 Billboard songs of 1964, and of course this is the 60th anniversary of those. And we're not going to go through all of 100, but we're going to actually list our own top 25, what we think is the top 25, and tell you where they hit respectively and go from there.
Yeah, and a lot of these were Dean Martin, so he would have been about 60 years old at the time. That would make him 120 now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me, if you listen to this podcast at all, you know I'm a huge Beatles fan, so my top 25 are all Beatles songs.
You know, most of the top 25 are Beatles songs. I got to point out, 5 of the top 20 are Beatles. So that like 25% of the top 20 songs from 1964 were the Beatles.
Well, and the funny thing about that, and there's a lot of debate about this, is half of the reason some of their others didn't hit as high is because the other ones were blocking them.
Yeah. They have not only the top 1, but the top 2 positions here.
So let's get straight into it, Tyler.
Yeah.
Let's start at number 25. What's your... Now, we're rearranging the charts, right? This isn't how they fell.
So if you've listened to this podcast, you know that Justin is very critical of the Billboard or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and how they arrange things. So in this episode, we're giving you our rearranged top 25 songs. We're not going to list all 100. Honestly, when I was going through this, I had to play a lot of these songs.
Well, I played them all. I mean, a lot of them I'm very, very familiar with, obviously, the Beatles songs and things, but there was a few that I wasn't as familiar with, and so...
Oh, there were several I wasn't familiar with. I spent hours just saying, hey, Alexa, will you turn this on?
Let me tell you actually what Billboard has as the 25th best song of 1964. It is Dawn, Go Away by the Four Seasons. So what do you have at your number 25, Tyler?
My number 25 is We'll Sing in the Sunshine by Gail Garnett. This one I hadn't heard before. I played it. I'm like, okay, that sounds a little familiar. This song is actually at number 8 on the Billboard, so I bumped it down. And you're going to see that throughout this episode. We bump them up and down quite a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so what is your number 25, Justin?
My 25 is Because I Have This Car, GTO by Ronnie and the Daytonas. So that's my 25th, and it actually clocked in at number 40 on the original chart. So I pushed that one up 15 spots.
That's fair.
I've actually got 2 GTOs, so that's why I have to have that song. It's kind of my theme song.
It's an excellent car.
So number 24 on the year-end chart was Ragdoll by the Four Seasons. What do you put at number 24?
I put The Chapel of Love by the Dixie Cups, because, going to the chapel, then we're gonna get married. Yeah, I recognize that one. It's 21, so I only bumped it down a little bit. Where do you put as 24?
I put Bits and Pieces by the Dave Clark 5. Once again, one I've pushed way up because that hit number 45 on the charts.
Yeah.
The number 23 song on the Billboard charts in 1964 was Glad All Over by Dave Clark 5. What was your number 23 song?
My number 23 was Love Me With All Your Heart, or Cuando Calienta El Sol by the Ray Charles Singers. That one placed at number 19. I bumped it down a little bit, but I have heard this song. I just didn't really recognize it, but it's a good song. It belongs in the top 25, I feel. So where do you put it at 23?
I agree with Billboard's charts. I put Glad All Over from the Dave Clark 5.
All right.
Right at number 23. So number 22 was Suspicion by Terry Stafford. What do you put at number 22?
For You by Rick Nelson. And I bumped that one way up. Rick Nelson only made it to 66, so I really bumped him up by 40 points.
We'll consider that the biggest mover so far.
Yeah, what's your number 22?
My number 22 is my first from the Beatles on this chart, Please Please Me from the Beatles, which, funny enough, on the charts, they had this one at 16. I actually kicked a Beatles song back 6 positions.
Oh, blasphemy.
I know, but there are reasons.
Yeah, I wouldn't dare do that if I want to be in your house again.
So number 21 was The Chapel of Love by the Dixie Cups. What do you put at 21?
Baby, I Need Your Lovin' by the Four Tops.
Good song.
There's another one that I bumped way up. It originally placed at 57. I put it all the way up at 21. What's your number 21, Justin?
Another Beatles showing and another Beatles song I have bumped down the charts.
Ooh.
Love Me Do. So that's my 21, and it actually was 14 on the year-end charts. But I think those two songs, Please Please Me and Love Me Do, maybe a little overplayed by me, and I like some of the hidden gems a little more.
That's interesting because I put those two songs next to each other as well, but I actually put them further up the list.
Well, we'll get there.
They're coming.
So number 20 on the Billboard charts was Under the Boardwalk by the Drifters. What did you put at number 20?
Dancing in the Street by Martha and the Vandellas.
That's a good song.
You know, and I didn't bump it very far. It was originally at number 17, so I only moved it down 3 spots. What's your number 20?
I've got one that I actually kicked down 10 spots. Where Did Our Love Go by the Supremes. That was normally number 10. I put that as my number 20.
Yeah, I've got, let's see, my number 19 I bumped down, so let's get on to that.
So number 19 on the year-end charts was a song you've already put on your chart, Love Me With All Your Heart by the Ray Charles Singers. So what do you got at 19?
So I put Last Kiss by J. Frank Wilson and the Cavaliers. I originally heard the Pearl Jam version before I ever heard the original. And this song, it's a good, recognizable song. I had to bump it down from its original spot at number 9. I bumped it a full 10 points down because this is a song about a horrific car crash that kills a girl. And I don't think it belongs that high on the list. But excellent song, so I put it up there in my top 25. What's your number 19, Justin?
My number 19 was originally number 4 on the Billboard charts, which was Oh Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had to include that. I really enjoy that song, but it definitely wasn't number 4 for me.
Yeah, I didn't bump him down nearly that far.
So number 18 on the Billboard charts was Little Children by Billy J. Kramer and the Dakotas. What is your number 18?
I think now I need to bring out my dishonorable mention. This song I listened to, and it is creepy as all get out. So this one, I bumped this one all the way off the 100.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. In its place, I put My Guy by Mary Wells. Nothing you can say can take me away from my guy.
Yeah, excellent song.
Yeah, but I moved her down from number 7. I bumped her all the way down to 18. What's your number 18, Justin?
I think my number 18 might be our biggest mover of the whole chart.
Oh.
So I picked Louie Louie by the Kingsmen, which came in at 99 on the charts.
Yeah.
So I moved it up 81 spot.
Oh, wow.
So I really enjoy that song, even though nobody can understand any of the lyrics.
Yeah, let's see. My next one is a big mover, but not quite that far.
So number 17 on the Billboard charts ended the year in 1964 with Dancing in the Street by Martha and the Vandellas. What do you put at your number 17?
My number 17 is Do You Love Me by the Dave Clark 5, bumped up from number 91 to number 17. So it was a big bump, not quite as big as Louie Louie for you. What's your number 17, Justin?
My number 17 is How Do You Do It by Jerry and the Pacemakers. Excellent song, and that's another big jump for me because that was rated at number 89 on the charts.
That was way down there. That was a song I hadn't heard.
So 16 on the Billboard charts was actually Please Please Me from the Beatles. What did you put at number 16?
I moved our friends the Beach Boys down with I Get Around. Originally they were number 5. I bumped them down 11 spot. But it's the Beach Boys, and the Beach Boys, I Get Around, one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. It belongs in the top 20, so there it is. What's your number 16?
I picked the Temptations, The Way You Do the Things You Do. That's quite a big mover for me too, because that was number 71 on the chart. So I've got a few in a row that are big time movers.
For sure.
So number 15 on the charts was Do Wah Diddy Diddy by Manfred Mann. What do you put as your number 15?
My number 15 is my first Beatles song, and this one was one of the lower Beatles songs. It was rated at 52. Can't Buy Me Love by the Beatles. I moved all the way up to number 15, and I like this Beatles song, so it belonged up there.
You're not trying to just impress me.
I am.
Okay, fair enough.
But I really do like that song, and I think it belonged up there. Bear in mind, though, a lot of this is I have to gauge off of what songs I am familiar with and how well I know them, this is a song I'm very familiar with. And so I think it belongs up that high. What's your number 15?
Another big mover for me, Baby I Need Your Loving from the Four Tops, which was 57 originally. So a pretty big mover for me.
You moved even further than I did.
Yeah, now number 14 was Love Me Do by the Beatles. What do you pick for your number 14?
For my number 14, I bumped somebody up a little bit. Come a little bit closer, you're my kind of man by Jay and the Americans.
Great song.
But originally at 29. And I've heard that song. I've heard the remake as well. I like the remake a little bit better, but I really like this song, and I think it belongs up there, number 14. A lot higher than 29 where it was. What's your number 14, Justin?
My number 14 is The Little Old Lady from Pasadena by Jan and Dean, which come in originally at 48. So I moved that one up quite a ways too.
Sure did.
So 13 on the charts was A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. What do you put at your number 13?
Okay, my next 13, 12, and 11 are a Beatles trifecta, and two of them did not move very far at all. Love Me Do. I just bumped it up from number 14 originally to number 13. So Love Me Do by the Beatles is my number 13. It was pretty well spot on, I thought. What's your number 13?
Oh, well, and that's funny because you have that song 8 places higher than me, but I picked Do You Love Me by the Dave Clark 5, which is a big mover for me because that come in at 91 originally. I've got a lot of low chart moving up into the top 25 here.
You sure do.
Number 12 was a song called Java by Al Hurt. What is your number 12?
You know, Java, I started listening to it. Is that purely instrumental?
Basically,
Okay. Yeah, because it didn't have any lyrics, and I don't know. I kind of knocked that one off altogether.
I agree.
I replaced it with my second of the Beatles trifecta, Please Please Me, which was originally number 16, but I like Please Please Me just a little bit more than I like Love Me Do, so it's number 12 for me. What's your number 12?
So you ranked Please Please Me 10 spots higher than me.
I sure did.
Number 12, a song I couldn't leave off that originally came in at number 38, The House of the Rising Sun by the Animals.
Yeah.
Excellent song.
Mm-hmm.
So number 11 on the Billboard charts was People by Barbara Streisand. What did you rank at number 11?
Number 11, Barbara Streisand. She's another one I just kicked off of there because I think People is from the musical Yentl.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and that and Hello Dolly was on here as well, and I just can't go with musicals. But then again, my number 11 is my third of the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night, which was originally number 13. So I bumped that one up a little bit. Of those three Beatles songs, that's the one I put up the highest, but I have more Beatles yet to come. So what's your number 11, Justin?
My number 11 is a song that originally charted at number 50 by Chad and Jeremy, A Summer Song. I've always thought that song, just those 60s feelings, it just fits perfect. It's a perfect soundtrack for the 60s. So
for sure.
Excellent song. I put it at 11. So number 10 on the charts was Where Did Our Love Go by the Supremes. What did you throw in at number 10?
I actually bumped up a significant bump. Again, this one's The Leader of the Pack by the Shangri-Las. Yeah, they were originally number 69. I moved them all the way up to number 10 because I like that song and I was familiar with that song. So what's your number 10, Justin?
I have another big mover that come in at 52 on the charts, but I'm not moving it as far as you did, Leader of the Pack, but it's Can't Buy Me Love by the Beatles, number 10. Excellent song.
Oh, you actually put them 5 points higher than me.
Yeah, I did.
All right.
So number 9 on the charts was Last Kiss by J. Frank Wilton and the Cavaliers. What do you throw at your number 9?
You know, this is another one from spot number 44. I moved all the way up to number 9. The Shoop Shoop song, or It's in His Kiss by Betty Everett.
Yeah, great song.
Yep. And I thought, for that one, I'm pretty familiar with it, and I just think it belonged up there in the top 10. What's your number 9, Justin?
I picked a song that you also picked. I actually like the original better. It's number 29 on the Billboard 1964 chart, but Come a Little Bit Closer by Jay and the Americans. I like that song. It's a damn good song.
Yeah.
So the number 8 song on the 1964 Billboard charts was We'll Sing in the Sunshine by Gail Garnett. What is your number 8?
My number 8 is and most of my top 10 are moving up from below. This one is Wishin' and Hopin' by Dusty Springfield. From number 35 bumped all the way up to number 8. So what's your number 8?
Yeah, that's a great song too. My number 8 is, we're getting heavy into the Beatles now. I'm moving this one 32 spots from number 40, Twist and Shout by the Beatles. It has to be in the top 10. That song is an amazing vocal, especially, and just a clear rocker.
Yeah.
So number 7 on the charts is a song you've already thrown in there from Mary Wells, My Guy. But what do you throw at your new number 7?
My new number 7 came again from spot number 36 by Leslie Gore. You don't own me, so don't tell me what to say and don't tell me what to do. Yeah, that's where I put number 7. What's your number 7, Justin?
Number 7's another one I've moved 57 spots up by the Dave Clark 5.
Whoa.
Because I like the song Because by the Dave Clark 5. I think the Dave Clark 5, they were huge hits in the early 60s and part of that British invasion and everything. And I think they're kind of forgot about now, but they were giving the Beatles and all those other bands a run for their money without a doubt.
Well, they did do Do You Love Me Now That I Can Dance, which I ask my wife that all the time. Do you love me now that I can dance?
What does she answer?
No.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah.
Okay, so number 6 on the 1964 charts was 60-year-old Dean Martin with Everybody Loves Somebody. What did you throw at your number 6?
Well, I kicked Dean Martin off into the old folks' home and replaced him with Roy Orbison with Oh Pretty Woman. I only bumped him down 2 points. He was originally at number 4. So, I mean, people really like this Roy Orbison song. I'm not a huge fan of it, but boy, I have to respect this song. It's well done. And I have to give credit where credit's due. Roy Orbison, you definitely belong in the top 10. Very iconic performer. Glad that he's up there. What's your number 6, Justin?
Well, I've got one that didn't move very far. It moved from number 5 to number 6. I Get Around by the Beach Boys. I think it's a very important song, a very important band. Yeah, excellent song.
Top 5. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go for the top 5. So top 5 in 1964 Billboard charts. The 5th song was I Get Around by the Beach Boys. So what is your number 5 song?
Once again, I'm bumping somebody up. Under the Boardwalk by the Drifters from number 20 up 15 spots to number 5. What's your number 5?
My number 5, I think, has the biggest jump of any of our songs. It's jumping 90 spots.
Oh my.
From 95th place. I Saw Her Standing There by the Beatles. I do not think you can leave that song out in the importance. Opening up their Please Please Me album, you know what a big Beatles fan I am, but that song just simply rocks. It's got an excellent vocal from McCartney. It belongs up in the top 5 without a doubt, and I think that's probably the winner for the biggest mover.
I think we have a winner right there, and it was a shame on the Billboard for putting it as far down as 90.
So number 4 on the Billboard charts was Oh Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison. What is your number 4?
I like Do-Wah Diddy Diddy by Manfred Mann, and that one I moved up from number 15 to number 4, and I don't feel at all ashamed of that.
You shouldn't. It's an excellent song.
Sure is. What's your number 4, Justin?
My number 4, funny enough, isn't a Beatles song. I've moved another song 75 spots from number 79, The Kinks with You Really Got Me. I don't think you can take away the importance of these British invasion bands and what these songs mean. And we're looking at this with different eyes of what songs we still hearing today, what songs made their way here, what songs are still popular. And that song from The Kinks really started it for that band without a doubt and had a big impact on the British invasion.
Oh, for sure. And the Kinks, You Really Got Me. This is like one of the iconic first rock songs that a lot of kids, they're first learning guitar and learn how to do. So I think it definitely belongs up there.
So number 3 on the Billboard charts in 1964 was Hello Dolly by Louis Armstrong. What did you put at your number 3?
I had to get rid of Hello Dolly. Okay, my number 3 is actually The House of the Rising Sun by The Animals, up from number 38. You put it a little bit lower, but this song, a couple reasons I put this one in number 3 is because of how like iconic of a song it is and how amazingly different it sounds compared to the other songs on this list. This is a song that's super 1960s. Whereas early 1960s, we're talking 1964. This is ahead of its time, I feel. And so I put it up there. Number 3, beautiful song, The House of the Rising Sun. What's your number 3, Justin?
Well, I think my top 3 aren't going to come as no surprise, but I can also give a reason. My number 3 song comes from number 13, A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. With that 12-string Rickenbacker opening that song and how important that song is to the Beatles and to the, once again, to the British invasion movement, once again, to just popular music. And you know how much I love the Beatles, so I'm being a little unfair, but that's where I'm sticking it. Number 3, A Hard Day's Night.
It belongs there with Mr. John Lennon and George Harrison Harrison and Ringo Starr being chased around by squealing girls.
So number 2 on the 64 Billboard chart, She Loves You by the Beatles. What do you put at your number 2?
She Loves You by the Beatles. That one is right where it needs to be. Well done, Billboard. Justin, what's your number 2?
I'd like to say I couldn't agree with you more because I couldn't agree with you more. She Loves You by the Beatles.
Holy shit.
I don't think the Billboard charts were wrong with that one. I don't think people were wrong with that one. That is probably the second most important song to the Beatles' career here in the U.S., to the British invasion, everything. So the number 1 song on the 1964 Billboard charts was, of course, from the Beatles, and the song that basically started all of it for Beatles here in the U.S., for the British invasion, I Want to Hold Your Hand. What do you put at your number 1?
The Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand. It maintains its number 1 spot. And I'm thinking you probably put the same.
You would probably think the same because, yes, and you're right. Because I Want to Hold Your Hand is an amazing song. It's what started it all, the prominence of the song for all these bands that come out of Britain.
Yeah.
For all the popular music that followed after it. I Want to Hold Your Hand. The Billboard charts got that one right. And even if they didn't, that's where it belongs.
Yeah.
I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You are the 2 songs that really belong back to back, and I think they kind of coexist between 1 and 2.
Yeah, for as hard of a time as we give the Billboard Top 100 and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and any other kind of rating system, these guys really hit the top 2, the most important ones, and I challenge anybody to go ahead and disagree and tell us why.
Exactly. And, you know, as I went through these charts the last couple weeks and listened to a few songs, the one thing I noticed is how different some of the music is. You get a lot of the British invasion stuff. There is some American bands and things in there. There is some Motown. There's a lot of girl groups.
Yeah. There's Andy Williams in there.
Yeah. I mean, there's Louis Armstrong in there. I mean, it's such a mix, and obviously I am more rock and roll inspired, so my top 25 is going to reflect that a lot more.
Yeah.
But I tried to be fair with it as well because it's my top 25 of prominence to myself, and that's I think it's an excellent list. There is another 25 songs that would directly follow that are excellent songs, and all are honorable mentions. I mean, really, for me, outside the top 10, it was tough to pick. So that's our special episode on the 1964 Billboard charts. Send us an email and let us know what you think, what you agree with, what you disagree with, why you think we're wrong, because I'm sure we are, but that's why we do it. But if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, suggestions for songs or albums you'd like us to rate, send them to classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. And once again, thank you for listening. It is appreciated more than you will ever know.
We'll see you next year.
We'll see you next year. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.